I have been here in Hendricks County for 5 years now. I remember it well, August 24th, August 24th of 2020, the height of COVID. Took my son to college, came down here. It was, I met the moving truck, and our offices moved from Avon to Danville. I didn't make the choice. The board made the choice for me. So that was, been there ever since. And I apologize to the members who are new. Just go through what our organization is. We've been around for over 30 years. The organization, it was formed in the early 90s. And our job, and what I get graded on, for those who know me, is to retain and attract capital investment, payroll, and jobs into the county, to grow the county. We're the catalyst. We work with our public partners, both public and private partners, our market channel partners. Sorry, I'll wait for her to. Apologize, Amy has your slide. You have it up? Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm looking like technology's.
Yeah, sorry. We're multitasking tonight.
I apologize for that. The next slide. And the work we do, it's three buckets. We attract new investments, retain existing companies, and align our workforce development priorities here. Foster collaboration. We work with the utilities, the towns, market channel partners such as construction companies, the commercial realtors of the world. Next slide. And if you can see the slide, those are our three buckets that we primarily work on. Retention, existing businesses. And when I say existing businesses, businesses that are in our industry clusters. When I first started here, the BRE program, we identified with the Indy Partnership, there is roughly over 5,000 companies in Hendricks County. Of that, we scrubbed the list down to just over 2,000. We took out hospitals, fast food chains, car dealerships, retail operations, because that's not that they're not important. It's just we don't do small business, we don't do retail, we don't do housing. We look at 3PLs, developers, industrial, logistics operations, those types of companies. And we have continuous ongoing engagement with these companies. It's not just meet with them once a year, take a picture, put it on LinkedIn, and move on. We have continuous ongoing engagement with these companies. Every quarter, John Taylor received, and if he shared that with you, he said he did, but he shares the call notes of who was contacted, what was contacted, where, are they having any issues? The biggest thing with the BRE is not just to meet with the company. We're looking for projects. We're looking for a company ready to expand. God forbid a company is closing its doors and going out of business. But we're looking for somebody that's ready to expand. It's not just to meet with them once a year and say, hey, how are things going? I mean, you have to have a rapport. We have seen companies start to look for expansions. The biggest issue we had when we first started calling companies was, where can I find people? It's a problem everybody has. People. Where can I find people? As you know, when we do the monitoring for the tax abatements, any companies that are out of compliance based on number of people they're hiring, and the problem is they haven't laid people off, they haven't closed shop, they can't find people. They're actively hiring. So that is the number one compliance issue, and it's a challenge everywhere. Next slide. A little bit of the results in the 5 years, our 5-year matrix. You can see the KPIs that I get measured on to attract, and these are just projects that we touched. We had to have some role. When I say we, working with John, is in our market channel partners, if some sort of incentive or package. It's not just a company that came in, we took credit for coming here. We actually worked on those. The CapEx is just over $800 million. Almost 3,500 jobs and over 150 million in new payroll.
Next slide.
Thank you, Amy. The biggest question we get, and if anybody has any questions, please ask me. This is informal. It's coming up. Difference between us and a chamber of commerce. We have what I call market channel partners. I have investors, and chambers have members. They're just different. Prime example I'll give you, and we'll touch a little bit later, is Sephora. When Sephora came to Avon, Sephora joined Tom's organization, joined the chamber. Van Truss is an investor of ours because they're looking development. So that really illustrates it. The difference is we're more business attraction growing companies.
And I'm going to piggyback on
Thank
that.
you.
I'm Amy Curtis. I do investor
I'm so
relations. That's okay.
so
I do
sorry.
investor relations for Hendricks for an economic development partnership. And so we get the question a lot on the difference between a chamber and a UDO. We work very, very closely together, and that's because we piggyback off of each other. And chambers, in order to have a successful EDO and a successful chamber, we need to work together because it's kind of a chicken and egg kind of a conversation. In order to have a successful chamber, you have to have the investment first, because if you have investment in the county and you start to grow the county, you're going to then see small businesses, you're going to start to see the retail and all of that grow as a result of the investment in the county, and all of that comes first. So they very much work together. So when we say, as far as we're looking for investors in an EDO, and they say, oh, well, do you want to have, Cunningham Group or something like that be an investor in the EDO? It's like, well, they're really well suited for the chamber because it's more towards being a membership, and it's more towards being available for individuals, networking, etc. Whereas if you are a developer and you're wanting to look towards eventually having a restaurant facility, then the developer would be an investor in an EDO. So it's kind of a chicken and an egg kind of conversation. So very important that we work together and we have the conversation, but it's just a matter of how do we look at a project differently? How do we look at the environment a little bit differently? But it's also very important that we work together.
Yeah, and Tom, the chairman of Avon Chamber, heads up our membership committee.
Yes.
We work together on a regular basis. The Sephora case. I know everybody here is very familiar with the Sephora. I'm going to give you a background of what happened even before it got to you. It's I love telling this story, and Amy's probably sick of hearing it so many times.
No.
This came from, even though the state says IEDC, this project came from CBRE through their market channel partners. We had a call. John Lino, who heads up incentives and negotiations for CBRE on their economic development side out of Phoenix, Arizona, contacted the state, and he wanted myself, Hancock County, Johnson County, and I think that was it. Or no, Morgan County was another one. We sat down and he told us the project after we all signed the NDAs and said it's Sephora. I didn't know who Sephora was until my wife told me. Had no idea. They don't sell bacon. I'm not their clientele. So it went through the parameters of the project, and he laid out all his sites. Said, here's the project, the parameters of what they're working on. Also said, these are the only sites we're looking at. We've identified it through our broker partners, and please do not bring us any other sites. Don't bring us any other areas. These are all we're going to look at, and the project's going to go on one of these sites. We've already done our due diligence. I say that because where they're currently located wasn't on the list. It was very interesting how I got there. Van Trust got the RFI from, or RFP from Sephora for their site in Hancock County. They contacted Sephora, and it's also fair to note, Van Trust did Sephora's facility in Las Vegas. So they had a relationship with them. They already knew who they were. And they've called them, Sephora, and said, for your timing and what you need, you don't want to be on the east side of Indianapolis. You want to be on the west side of Indianapolis on our Avon site. I get paid to say good things about Hendricks County. That's what I do. So they kind of take me with a grain of salt. Here was an actual investor developer who had skin in the game, and they actually had their money on the line at both sites.
To be fair, they weren't an investor yet.
No. An investor in the community, I meant, a developer.
Yeah.
They have a lot of money,
Yeah.
multi-millions of dollars tied up in land in Hancock County and land in Hendricks. And they said, for your timing of everything you need, you want to be at our site in Avon. The other thing I actually illustrate this on other projects is John Lino says they're on the list. The zoning, we can't get that zoning changed in time, and there's no way it can be done. I've used this time and time again. It has been. We can say it can here as chamber. Says there's no way it's going to be done. John owed me dinner because I won the bet with him. So that was a year ago. Actually, a year ago this December, we were putting that together because John was out. So have a couple updates. They originally talked about 425 jobs, average of $45,000 a year, payroll. 626 total jobs, indirect. The talk with John Lino called me yesterday, gave me an update on the project. They are on task. They're on price. They're probably going to have over 425 people. He said it might be closer to 500 within the 3-year period. They're very happy how things are going. They had a couple hiccups with their general contractor. That's very common. They applied for their 2 management positions. They openly applied for. They had 150 applicants for those positions. I don't know. That's good for them. It also kind of scares me. So we'll see. They were blown away that they actually could find those people. They are going to start hiring for their workforce. They're going to start advertising it next month. In February, they want to start hiring people. I'm going to be reaching out to him. One of the things, the incentive package we put together, working with the county and the training dollars, we're also going to be having some facilities at MAID as far as training the workforce and hiring fair. What does that look like when they fly in? But they're pleasantly surprised. They were nervous about the project. We were really competing with Pickaway County, just outside of Columbus, Ohio, which Pickaway County and Hendricks County are so similar. We're on the west side of Indianapolis Airport. They're on the east side of Columbus, right near Rickenbacker. Developers in the area have investments in both areas. What pushed us over the edge was when John or Joe from the company, somebody asked him, what are you most concerned about? He goes, finding the employees and training our employees. I kind of sat back. I said, we got this. I knew what Pickaway was going to offer. And what pushed us over was the MAID facility. When I took Joe around the MAID, he was just blown away with it, that they could use a facility like that to train their folks. It was within a stone's throw of their, where they're building it. So they're very pleased about that. We're pleased to be, the training we're going to offer there. And for those who are not familiar with Sephora, they made a big push that about 30% of their workforce in all their facilities are disabled of some sort, whether that be visually impaired, hearing impaired, have some sort of disability. And they found out a long time ago that they did that because it was an untapped pool of people for employees, but they're some of their best employees they have. We're excited because the training that we're going to be providing, there's no training that you can pull off the shelf for that. They're going to do their training for the people they hire, because if you have somebody in line who has a visually impaired, it's a different type of trainer. What does that look like for them? So working with the county was able to step in and offered $425,000 in training dollars that they can use, that they're going to be invoiced, but it's customized for them what they can do. The other opportunity, I'm going to call it, that Sephora brought up was Ohio has an incentive where you can use Port Authority financing. There's some Port Authorities over there that exist just on paper. And by using Port Authority financing, you can save on the sales tax for material handling equipment. Indiana allows the exemption for this, but only if it's a manufacturing operation. When I met with Greg Sturwall, we're trying to get that changed in law. He goes, well, and the legislature brought that because manufacturing jobs have typically and historically have had more people, they've paid more, and they've had more of a capital investment. And I talked to Mr. Sturwall. I said, if I brought you a project that was $150 million, $65 million of machinery and equipment, material handling equipment, going to employ 425 people, making $45,000 a year. He says, yeah. I says, that's Sephora, but not just Sephora. These are the type of logistics projects we're seeing. I come from a background in the Detroit metro area where we did a lot of automotive manufacturers, tier 2, tier 3s. I would rather have a company like Sephora than an auto plant or an auto manufacturer, because they have just as many jobs, they pay just as well, and you don't have to fit everything into a 5-year contract with an OEM. And you'll see a lot of OEMs where they move out. The more CapEx a company puts into a facility, the more likely they're going to stay. They built a 750,000 square foot concrete precast building with $65 million in machinery and equipment that they bought from Bastion up in Carmel. They're not going anywhere, knock on wood. They're here for the long haul to stay. And I would argue it's a great employer to have. There's no smokestacks out of the building. There's no pollutions. It pays very well. It's a nice shop. Next slide. Do you want to take next one, Nate?
So, why this matters to Avon and why HCG matters to the people of Avon. And I think we've, really demonstrated, just just the EDO and, what that means for, talking about the difference between a chamber and an EDO and, what that means. But proven results, reasonable collaboration, long-term ROI, facilitated millions in private investment, new job creation. We're really coming along and being partners in collaboration, strengthens Avon's tax base through business attraction, helps existing Avon employers expand the locality, ensures Avon is competitive for the state and regional investment, provides data and workforce insights. But really, the bottom line is we want to be good partners and be good stewards for the town and help the town continue to grow. You guys have really great community assets here, and we just want to be a good partner to you and continue to help you all grow and continue to highlight this community for the region, for the state. I mean, that's the bottom line. There's really no secret sauce to what we do. Brian's heard me say this many times. It's about communication. It's about breaking down those barriers, about helping us all work together and helping us all collaborate and show off the asset that Hendricks County is. And that's why we're here today. Next slide. And that's why we're here today. Any questions about who we are, what we do, and why we're here?
I'm very excited about some of the opportunities we're seeing. I'm a project junkie, if you can't tell. That's what really gives me the fire in the belly, is putting a project together, especially when I'm competing with somebody for a project in another community. We are seeing a lot of pharmaceuticals and logistics tied into manufacturing logistics on pharmaceuticals, especially with what's going on with LEAP. Even though it's one kind of, with having the Ronald Reagan open and having areas there, we have a few suppliers in the pharmaceutical, I'll call it manufacturing / logistics. And a lot of them want, even though it's a manufacturer or logistics operation, they kind of want it to look like a statement piece or have their headquarters. And the Reagan is a beautiful boulevard for that. I mean, you have the visibility. Sephora, the front of their building looks just like their stores. I mean, it's not real sophisticated, but it's a nice showpiece. It looks great. One of the things that really helps us too was Avon Landing, having the multifamily across the street. When I talk with some of our market channel partners, and even Joe said this when he was here, whenever there's a facility, an opportunity where you have multifamily in close proximity to it, it really helps as far as makes the site more attractive for end users, to know that people can live there, work there. That's something they look forward.
And I think that, even just, the news that happened today, as far as, highlighting suppliers for the LEAP district, I mean, it's a perfect example of wanting to have proximity to the LEAP district. We want to be close, but not too close. But, it's a perfect example of just the opportunity. There's going to be a huge expansion given, the announcements that happened today as far as Lilly is concerned, as far as what's going on there. A lot of suppliers are going to be close, but not too close, as far as just having access. So, we're really primed we're growing fast. The community's primed. Also, as far as logistics, as far as, our assets with the airport, FedEx, I mean, it's a great location. It's great proximity. And our infrastructure is designed to move people west. It just is. And so that's one of the things that really was an asset to us when, Brian mentioned that while with the Sephora project originally, they thought they wanted to be in Hancock County, the call was made to be in Hendricks County because our infrastructure is just designed to move people west. And that's just a reality of where we are.
And that's a challenge that companies have all over the nation. It used to be location. I hear labor. Where can I get my folks? And companies don't see political jurisdiction, but when you're in the shadow of 2.5 million people and then MSA, and your infrastructure is meant to move people west, it makes our job a little bit easier. It's fun. We've been talking for the past year. I buzzed a new term, and I hope I can take credit for it. I call it clean tech. You hear about the chips, and Jason, you probably know this, with the cyber chips with NVIDIA and Intel and all the processing chips. Well, now they're kind of doubling with computers in the pharmaceutical with Lilly. And Robert, I have no idea. I read the headline that I'm out. I just looking at the supply chain for the computers. You told me 2 years ago about AWS, how just the sales on the material, but you said the store is just like a tip of the iceberg, how much bigger. And I was like, oh my God, especially with AI, everything that's going, I just think there's a real good opportunity for us on that supply chain. of what that looks like. Even with Intel going to Columbus, Ohio, there's been some pliers looking in this area because we're close enough, but not too close. And the other chips as they manufacture. So, yeah, I'm very excited about that. Scared too, but excited. AI scares me. I'm Gen X. I've seen Terminator. This doesn't work out well for us. Sorry, is there any questions about?
Hey, Brian, could you answer? Sorry, if
Yep.
any of you guys have questions, go ahead. But you kind of talked about a non-traditional process with Sephora to get a lead. Can you just
You mean
briefly,
a non-traditional? Okay.
the non-traditional lead, can you talk about how you typically get leads for economic development projects?
They're all different. They're all, everyone's a little bit different. Sometimes we get statewide leads from IEDC saying they're looking statewide. Sometimes we get it from what I call a market channel partner, JLL, a Cushman, a CBRE of the world. Sometimes it's a developer. That's actually Phil Racy. Has a couple that are looking to occupy his building. I'm like, what do you need from us? How can we help you land your tenant? Our investors, yeah. And they're all our investors.
So we're a public-private partnership, so we have a number of private investors. Those can be, and I have a list of it if you want to see a list of who our investors are. But that can be from financial institutions, our utility partners, developers, from construction, architecture, engineers, et cetera. And we really have a desire to have a very open dialogue with all of them to make sure that we have open communication. We're constantly talking about who's looking to expand, who's looking to potentially relocate, et cetera, so that we can have that open dialogue about, hey, what can we do to help? Is there an opportunity for us to maybe run some numbers?
Mhm.
Maybe there's an incentive opportunity. Where are you looking to expand? Where are you looking to locate? How can we help? How can we make connections? How can we talk with our partners, our investors? How can we talk with our townships? How can we talk about, opportunities, locations, et cetera? And what does that look like? Some of them are state leads. Some of them come from, again, developers. et
Utility
cetera.
companies,
Utility
depends.
companies.
Yeah.
Sorry, I realized I don't have my-
I'm so
No,
sorry.
No, that's okay.
There's 3 data centers out there looking, and they're not what you read in the news. They're not hyperscalers. They're traditional data centers. One is looking at Avon Landing because of the fiber line that runs there, but it's only, I say only, it's 5 to 10 megs and $100 million investment. It's not these big hyperscalers that are going to be 1.5 gigs of power and billions and billions of dollars of infrastructure. These are traditional colo data centers, like Rob helped me, like Netflix and storage facilities. Exactly. 50,000 to 100,000 square foot building. It's not going to be a couple million square feet. Those are hyperscalers in this. We're in a good spot for those as data continues to grow. They're nice. They don't employ a lot of people, but they can coexist next to companies that do employ a lot infrastructure. We can put 100,000 square foot building right next to Sephora. And I'm just speaking hypothetically that employ 15 people and they don't compete for the labor shed and they can coexist together. Sorry.
Thank you for coming
Thank
tonight.
you. I feel stupid talking data centers for you, Robert. I mean, you've forgotten more than I know. I usually pick your brain for them. Thank you.
Ryan, did you want us to talk about anything else about funding or anything like that?
Nope, I think that's good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you coming.
Super. I talked with John Leno about Sephora. There will be some announcements at the end of the year in December. He agreed to, everybody here will know about it first. He promised me that, so more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 2026, the insurance update with Highland.
Yeah, I'll introduce 2 and then I'll turn it over to Jeff. But as you guys know, in November every year, we do our insurance renewal. So Jeff Sullivan is our agent from Highland who helps us place our insurance coverage. So he's going to give you kind of a quick update on just industry-wide kind of what's going on and what you guys can expect for your renewal. The renewal is not on your agenda tonight. On your November 20th meeting. So this is just kind of an informational piece for you. So I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. So before we start talking about premiums, and we'll definitely get there, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about how appreciative I am of the work that Ryan and his team, the department heads, have put into the renewal this year. It's the public entity insurance market is a challenging market. And, we hit them every year with a lot of information that we need updated. And this year we decided to take another step, and anticipating liability increases, we talked about it, came up with a strategy, and we worked really closely with Travelers Insurance to, with the hopes of having a competitive bid from Travelers to compare and consider. Even though the meeting went really well, we were here for, we spent 5 hours with Travelers the day that they were here, was meeting with all the department heads and all that. It didn't lead to a competitive offer from Travelers, but I think we all learned some things along the way. We identified one of the things the loss control person helped us identify was the need for a concussion management program for the youth sports program. So that was a bit of feedback from that kind of an exercise that in the long run will be good for the risk management program for the town of Avon. I know Shelby and her team are working on that now. So the other recommendation that came back from Travelers was they industry wide, they have had some really, really bad claims from dam failures. And even though your dam is in very good condition, it is identified as a high hazard dam by IDEM. And in the end, that became a deal breaker for Travelers. And again, it's not because they think that your dam's about to fail. It's that they've across the country, they've had some very serious claims from high hazard dams failing. And so for them, the recommendation for the dam was to work with an engineering firm to develop an emergency action plan. I know that's something that Ryan will talk more with you about and can consider and can look at costs, but I think that's one of those types of risk management improvements that, when you get a recommendation from a carrier like the size of Travelers, even if other carriers are not requiring it at the same time, it's usually an indicator that that could end up becoming more of an industry standard and could be a good heads up on something where some improvement can be made, for the future. The other thing, just from a background standpoint, is we've learned, throughout the year that the relationship with IPEP, I think remains very strong. They feel very good about the town. They've been your work comp carrier for many years, and they work very closely primarily with Sean and his team with the police, just because of the nature of the activity. But it's been a good long-term relationship. And then most recently, so Hanover Insurance is providing the builder's risk for the new town center. And anybody that's been through loss control visits, and those folks are pretty good at coming up with recommendations and finding things that they feel like should be addressed. And I know the person from Hanover personally that did this loss control inspection, and I would say he's probably about as picky as they come. And he walked away from that visit with no recommendations. So again, I want to compliment the work that's been done by Ryan, by Dan and his team, and really everybody that was involved in that project, just to make sure things are being done the right way. Because, according to Hanover, they couldn't be happier with what they saw on the job site. So, So not to sound like a broken record, but I think when an insurance person starts talking about premiums going up, sometimes that's what it sounds like. The reality is, growth leads to more losses, and losses lead to the need for premium increases. We're definitely in that, dealing with that this year. On an industry-wide scale, and Dan and Anna could speak to this better than I could, but the rise in nuclear verdicts and just incredibly large settlements that continue to happen. Everybody bears the cost for those, and an organization like this is certainly not an exception to that. But I would say the good news is in this climate and with a lot of losses over the last 5 years, we do have a renewal from Astra. And, that may not be the kind of thing that is always celebrated just to have a renewal, but we're in an industry, we're in a hard enough market with liability coverage that many towns and communities are being non-renewed or are seeing really significant increases. On an account basis, I'm anticipating about 25% increase on an overall account basis. Again, it's a big number. I'm not going to shy away from that. My advice and feedback on it is that based on the average losses over the last 5 years and based on the market, I think it's consistent with what a renewal, what we should expect from a renewal with the level of losses and with the market that we're in. I'm going to pause there to see if any, I can obviously keep going, but any questions at this stage or anything that.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
When you say level of losses, you're speaking industry-wide or for Avon?
Actually, both. So it's without going into specifics, it's just in some cases it becomes a math problem. You look at the losses over, it's not over last year. It's over about a 5-year period of time is consistently is the general time period that's looked at for pricing of an account. And it's not any one thing, it's not one department not performing well, or it's just a matter of, claims are more expensive to settle than they've ever been. Vehicles cost more to buy, so they cost more to replace when they're damaged in an accident. I think of it a little bit like if a vehicle that was 40,000 is now 50,000, we may not like it that it's 50,000, but we recognize that it costs more to build it, and that's what the cost is, and I think I hope that answers your question.
I have a question. You said that that's typical in what we could have expected based on our losses and what the general climate is across the board. Is that the increase in our budget?
Ironically, yes, actually, if you guys recall, during the budget process, we talked about, this is one of the things we were expecting to take a fairly substantial hit. So just as a reminder though, we renew in November, so we will pay, it comes out of this year's budget. So next year, we budgeted enough to cover what the renewal is, but we didn't budget enough this year to cover what the renewal is. So again, I haven't got the actual number from Jeff yet to see what it is and how we'll pay for it, but we do have some underspending this year. So I think, again, we can probably figure out a way to pay for it and it'll be fine. And next year, as long as we don't have another 25% renewal, we would be in good shape. But again, this is kind of the problem with this, we're paying for it. And then when we're budgeting, we're actually budgeting for the following year. So that was a good question, but I did also want to share with you, and I shared this with Jeff just right before the meeting. I know you guys, I meet every month with the town managers of surrounding towns. And so this actually came up at our town managers meeting and we talked about it. And so I wanted to at least share that with you. And I think I had shared with you guys previously that Plainfield was one who did not get renewed. Their insurance no longer renewed them. So they have gone to be self-insured. They had to do that. They didn't have a choice because they got basically dropped. So they said it was an extremely difficult process and it was really expensive. They're not excited about it, but they had no choice. Speedway told me they had a 75% increase in theirs. Danville said they had about a 25% increase, and their council decided to go shop it somewhere else, and they shopped it, and they didn't save any money. It still ended up going up 25%. So, and that's to Jeff's point, we're seeing this across the market, that there's this level of increase. And again, to Jeff's point, we're growing, just in the last month and a half, we bought 14 new police cars. Like we're adding more people, we're adding more equipment, we are adding things, not trying to blame the police department. I'm using that as an example. We're a growing town. As we've gotten new employees, we add new trucks. Like we are buying new land, we're building a new civic center. Like we are growing, we have more assets and more things to cover. So a good portion of our premium increase are those kind of things too. They're not solely just losses. It is, we're adding things to insure and to cover.
They're selling some tonight to their.
And we're going to take 9 off, so that's going to be fantastic. That's 9 less to insure. So, and that's what I think you guys will remember as well. We had some really bad workers' comp losses in the past, and so our property and casualty was flat for a couple of years, but our workers' comp went way up. Well, now we've swapped, and we kind of knew that as we got away from some of our bad workers' comp claims, that it would come back down. And that's what Jeff was saying earlier. Our workers' comp renewal has come down like 30,000, but now our property and casualty is up, and our cyber has been pretty flat as well, which is good. And we hope we can leave it there. And again, I think we talked about this last year, that cyber, the war in Ukraine has distracted some of the cyber. And so we're not seeing as many attacks in the United States because they're busy doing whatever they're doing over in Eastern Europe. So there are some things like that have worked to our benefit. So.
Yeah, so just a little bit further, to Ryan's point, the work comp did go down. He's right on the amount. I checked with Robert when I saw him to see if he still felt that the Russian hackers had something to do with the cyber market remaining calm, and he does.
I just want to make clear, like I have no information. I
Yeah.
have friends who are in this area that
Sure,
are saying
Robert.
that. That's all.
So, it has been a stable year for cyber renewals. So we don't have the cyber renewal yet. We had some communication back and forth today and expect to have it any day now. Our expectation is for the cyber to be close to flat, just based on, flat to maybe up slightly with the growth, but close to flat. So that's really all I had for you tonight. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to address those. We'll be finalizing our proposal. Hope to be by sometime next week. We'll have it in Ryan's hand as soon as we have it ready. Definitely we'll have it it will be by next week because we'll have it in your packet for the 20th. So.
Don, can I make a comment? I was going to say, I think Jeff said it really accurately, but with your growth, I would think just growth alone, I was kind of afraid you might see increases in like 30 or 40s, but insurance is based not just on risk, but also like every time you increase employees or cars or parks or any asset, they have more to cover. And so that's always going to be a part of it. And growing is great, but it costs a little bit of money. Second thing I want to say is, that I am seeing a lot of 40s and 50s out there and some drops, which we never want that. So we should feel good about that. And then lastly, I'll say that in what we see, we work alongside the attorneys that are hired by your carrier, Astra, and primarily Astra. And we appreciate what Jeff and Astra's people do, and the attorneys that they hire, we think do a good job. And that means that you don't have to have Anna and I do very much, because they handle it and they handle it properly. And we think we've had some really good outcomes on some cases. And so you hear me talk about this every year, but I think it is my job to tell you that if I were not happy, if I did not think that you were getting what you pay for in terms of that kind of protection from the carrier, I'd let you know. But actually, I'm very, very happy with how they handle that process and how they defend us when we get in those situations where we may have some liability. So I'm just very, very happy with the people that they have us. There are 2 or 3 firms that we work with, and they've all been really great to work with, and we appreciate it. Prompt, get on it. We can talk to them. They work with us. And so just let you know. I also would say, we monitor risk pretty well. I think your department heads do a great job. I don't think they're doing anything. I just think that you run more cars out on the roads, whether they be police. I'm not going to pick on Sean. They could be any cars, right? They don't have to be just you guys. Could be Steve Moore and his guys, right? Yeah, it could be those guys. But just the more of that you have, you're going to have this natural growth, and then someday it'll kind of level off. But with growth comes some other good things too. So I think this is good news. I just would share that with you. Some other meetings I've sat through haven't been nearly as good.
Thank you, Dan.
Ryan, do you think we've budgeted properly for next year's increase?
It's going to be close. Again, even at the renewal, I think you and I talked about it. We were under what I budgeted last year, correct? We weren't substantially under, though.
No, it's close.
So again, what our renewal this year is, we budgeted more than enough for last year. But again, if it goes up 10% or 20%, we may be over that a little bit. So we'll see. But that's what we were kind of expecting this, and that's why we tried to really up our number for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep, good night.
We're
So yeah,
both,
we're going to all do this. It's going to be a whole team effort.
but I will start. We're going to start with the reserve at Shiloh Creek, section 2. So starting on the second page of your handout for that, it's labeled page 5 because it's out of the staff report, but the second page, just as a orient you where the site is, it's outlined in white. The area north of the outline in white is the reserve at Shiloh Creek, section 1. Both of those taken together were rezoned in the county in 2003, so over 20 years ago. Section 1 was annexed in right before it was platted. The developer now, Mr. Lazaro, would like to annex in what is to be Section 2 to develop in the R2 classification. It's zoned RB in the county right now, so it would come in as an R2. It's at the intersection of County Road 1050 East and then County Road 100 North near Ronald Reagan or east of Ronald Reagan. The next page, the aerial is just a zoomed in of the site. And you can see on the left side of the outline that it does touch County Road 1050, which is where I'm going to talk about a bit. As you're aware, when we annex in property from the county that has existing zoning commitments, we bring those in and make that part of the development. So when this property gets annexed in, which it's not yet, it is pending, you have accepted the application, but when it gets annexed in, it will have the original zoning commitments. And the owner, the developer, has petitioned to amend the zoning commitments. So what is on the next page, labeled as page 6 and has the red outline in it, is what is the conceptual plan that they submitted to the county in 2003. Section 1 would be to the north. It's already developed. It doesn't quite look like that. Again, this was a conceptual plan. And then section 2 is the area outlined in red. There will be one less lot with this change. And most notably, you will note in the area outlined in red is that there was no access to 1050. It only at the time was proposed to access the 2 stub streets to the south, which go into a development that's in the county. So then the revised plan that they're bringing before you, and if you've got to turn it, so County Road 1050 will be on your left. They're still proposing to connect to the existing stub streets in that subdivision, but would now connect out to County Road 1050, which we think is a better design to not put all the traffic through that neighborhood, but that these folks have a way to get out. And also that we don't have land that we have to go through the county to get to our own streets, that we can connect to them on our own. The crux of the zoning commitments is to change the lot size and lot width to meet the R2 standards. But the way it works out with this site, because they're adding in more drainage than they had to under the county, it's actually one less lot. And then the number of lots that would abut the subdivision to the south is one less than what would have under the original development. We as staff were recommending approval of the changes. It did go to Plan Commission at the end of October. There were some folks in the audience, but nobody spoke. The Plan Commission recommended approval of it unanimously, and it will be coming to your council meeting next council meeting on the 20th. The reason I'm bringing it to you is because it's a change of commitment, so it's not a rezone, so they didn't come before you and give you the introduction that you're used to for a zoning case, but it's still coming before you, so I wanted to give you a chance to get your eyes on it before it actually comes on a meeting agenda on the 20th. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
How far is the proposed entrance out or exit out onto the 1050 from the other one
The one to the south?
and the one to the north?
The main road to the south, I believe I measured it at about 250 to 300 feet maybe. I don't remember that exact number now. It would need a waiver for that distance. And then the property to the north is a parking lot. And I don't have that measurement, but I can get that for you.
Parking lot, is that where the church is?
Yes. I did talk to some folks that came in or called once the notices went out, and nobody seemed to have concerns once they learned that there would be an entrance onto 1050 and they wouldn't be coming through the neighborhood.
On the left side of 1050 there, is it Ashton?
Yes.
Okay. So they have also an entrance coming onto 1050. So how many ingress egress will be in that half-mile stretch?
So Ashton is the one you can kind of see on this plan here. You can kind of see it off on the left, bottom left corner. That's the one I was speaking about. I believe it's about 300 feet. And then there's multiple driveways because that was allowed to develop with road, with the houses on the road. I did go over this with Steve Moore, and although it will need a waiver, we think that this design is more desirable than the original design of going through the county roads.
So if they were to come out where across from Ashton, where theirs exists now, there is a parcel right there, I'm assuming a house on that parcel.
That's correct.
So you indicated this would probably need some type of improvements. Will this eventually come back to the council for that approval? Or is it gonna be your plan?
So next meeting on the 20th is when the formal vote on the change of the commitments will come to the council. The Plan Commission heard it at the end of October.
County's okay with still connecting to those stuff?
Yes.
Still Lazaro's not interested in buying that parcel. So we go with what we normally go with, which would mean to align our subdivision.
I did not ask that question of him. I can before next meeting, for sure.
I just want to give you a update on a project that was filed that may be of interest and may elicit some comments to you guys as it moves through the process. This is the proposed Walmart neighborhood market. They have filed a development plan review application. That was just filed last week. This is for the almost 10-acre vacant piece at the village of Turner Trace, which, as you can see on the site plan, is bound by Avon Avenue, Governor's Row, Oriole Way, and the Turner Trace residential area to the east. Planning Department, we're doing our initial review of the plans to check to see that everything they filed, other than any waivers they request, meet the ordinance. We'll complete that review and send comments to the developer next week. We'll certainly find some things where they're not meeting the ordinance, which is normal in a development plan review. We'll send them other comments about things where they haven't provided enough info for us to tell if they're complying with the ordinance. And then we'll have the Technical Advisory Committee or TAC meeting next Thursday, where we'll discuss all these items along with the Department of Public Works, Crossroad Engineers, our consultant, and some other agencies. Then we should receive revised plans and responses a couple weeks after that meeting. If everything's received timely, legal notice will be published in the paper and will be mailed out by the developer or petitioner to adjacent property owners either the first or second week of December. And then this would be on the Plan Commission agenda for December 22nd. Because the property is zoned C2, it's long been zoned C2, which is our general commercial district. Grocery store is a permitted use. Therefore, this would not come before you for permission or for approval. And just a reminder on a development plan review, if the plans meet all of the standards of the UDO, the development standards, the design standards for setbacks, landscaping, architectural standards, et cetera, then that becomes a ministerial action for the Plan Commission, and they will be required to approve it if all those standards are met. However, if they seek waivers and or variances, then those become more discretionary decisions where there needs to be a finding that all of the required findings either in the UDO and or Indiana statute are met in order for those discretionary approvals to be granted. They did file with the development plan review, they filed a couple of waiver requests. One was for the access point that you can see on the site plan to Avon Avenue. They're proposing a new full access intersection there. And that does not meet our separation requirements. They need to be 400 feet from either of the public street intersections to the north or south. This is about, I believe it's 265 feet of separation. We have met with the petitioner previously, and we've told them that the staff would not likely be supportive of such a waiver request. As you can see, there are 2 access points on Governor's Row as well as one on Oriole Way. Those are all existing. The one on Oriole Way is already used for the office development there, just southeast of this proposed building, and that would then be shared. But our initial review is that the site should be able to function with the existing access points and not necessitate another one onto Avon Avenue. The second waiver that they've requested has to do with lighting standards. There's a maximum lighting level that can be for the parking lot, and they're proposing to basically have lighting that would about double the brightness of the maximum that the UDO allows for. And then they're also requesting a waiver related to where lighting would spill across the property line, across the southeast property line. And actually, just to not only get too far into the weeds, but what they've requested on the lighting exceeds the amount of deviation that they can have as a waiver in front of the Plan Commission, because the UDO specifies that dimensional or quantitative standards. So in this example, for the parking lot, the maximum average lighting level of the parking lot in the UDO is 1.6 foot candles. Their request is to do something close to 3.5 foot candles. So that's more than 100% deviation. It would need to be a 35% deviation or less to actually be a waiver that the Plan Commission could hear. So that feedback has been given to them, and they may revise the lighting downward to still be able to have a waiver heard by the Plan Commission. If they want to go forward with what they have, they would have to actually file for a variance in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals and have that approved before Plan Commission could act on the development plan review. So I think, yeah, there has been a traffic study submitted, and that's been sent to our consultant, HWC Engineering. Steve and Ryan have also gotten a chance to look at that, but we'll get comments back from our consultant on that as well before we have any official recommendation.
I have a few questions. First, Dan, how far away from this area will people be notified?
660 feet,
How far?
660 feet.
Two properties are 660
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah,
Whichever is
whichever's less.
less. Have you thought about in the future about these Governor Road access? That's a boulevard right now. And we've already had the fire trucks only return down there. And I've already heard that it's going to be difficult for them to turn into their area. So what about delivery trucks, semis coming in and turning from Governor's Row? How do you think radius wise that's going to work?
So the anticipation would be that trucks would enter off Oriole Way. And if you look at the
That's
top
fine.
right.
That's all you had to say was they won't be coming in off of Governor's Row.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can guarantee you that none will go out there, but that it's designed so they can turn around and go back out to Oriole Way or 150. So in Governor's Row would
I'm just
be-
worried about how they're going to get in without that area connecting with Governor's Row and with the boulevard there. I don't see how mathematically a semi can even turn in there. So
the engineering part of that is not my area of expertise, but it certainly doesn't seem to be set up for truck traffic. So they would need to use 150 to get in and out.
Are these two north entrances going north? Are they right turn only?
Coming out onto Governor's Row?
Correct.
I don't know if they would be, that would probably be a question for Steve Moore, perhaps.
They're not, Bill, as they're shown.
I'm just making sure. I want a record here.
Yeah, as shown, they are not.
Because this room's going to be filled, I think, and I just want to make sure we've laid the groundwork here.
So you have two north accesses at this point. The east access would probably accommodate a passenger vehicle or something small as far as a delivery truck, a very small one. The one to the west is wider, and the turning radius would probably allow for a larger vehicle, even a larger delivery vehicle to possibly make that turn.
Semi is what I'm
A semi may.
Walmart semi.
But here's the caveat to that even if the turning radius is shown for that, it's about the driver. And the drivers cut too soon and they're going to go over the curb. Even if on paper they can make that turn, I guarantee you that there'll be times that some will make it and some won't.
So would you recommend an ingress egress on Avon Avenue or not?
No, I wouldn't. So I think that starts the ball rolling to a full access and to a signal at some point. So I wouldn't recommend going down that road. You could say, well, we'll make it a right in, right out. Well, then the traffic starts supporting that, hey, maybe they need, or because of maybe safety concerns, maybe they need to put a light. I don't want to go down that road.
Well, my concern really is if you've ever been to the Walmart grocery store in Plainfield, that boulevard to the west is much larger than the boulevard here on Governor's Row. It just seems like it's an accident waiting to happen.
Well,
overall,
let's put it in perspective. So fire trucks are going to be able to make that turn based on auto turn, based on software, right? Fire trucks are one of the more
fire trucks are not going to be turning back west. They're coming in east and turning north.
Yeah, yes. And they're going to go north. They're not hanging the U, basically, is that what you're trying? Well, the point is, when they show the auto turn for the fire.
I just say that for everybody's benefit here,
Yeah.
because these people.
For the fire trucks, they show the auto turn and they could conceivably make that turn. Again, rear tracking is going to go over the curb. It's going to.
It just seems.
I'm not saying I like it.
It just seems to me, logically, being an old Highway 36 guy out here,
No, I get you.
to put an ingress egress on Avon Avenue.
The logical
Light or
way
no
to
light.
make the interior circulation is to make them come in and out on 150. That's the logical circulation for the larger trucks.
So does this leave the outlot here to the south available for additional construction?
Potentially, yes. I mean, it's vacant. What they're showing is not taking up the very, very corner of the intersection of Avon and Oriole Way. I'm not sure if they need to expand that or not. My understanding is they're not going to have to take up all that space. So, I mean, we'll get comments on that after our consultant reviews the stormwater drainage plans.
The other thing I may mention, just because we were talking about the access points, and because this will be an issue, when the PUD was built, 3 stub streets were provided at the time of the construction.
When was that, by the way? What year?
1998, probably.
Okay, thank you.
Long time ago. So typically, and you guys have heard us talk about this before, when an access exists, that is a vested right of an access. So those 2 access points to the north exist today. The point to the south to 150 exists today. So those would be very difficult to take away because they already exist. So that's a little bit of our challenge, Bill, that we don't have a right to necessarily tell them they can't use those.
Understood, but have we even asked? I'm not
Well,
saying
again,
tell.
we're not to that point. They've just filed. So we're just giving you guys a heads up that they've filed.
But we're going to tell them we're not going to put something on Avon Avenue. That's what I just heard. That's the
We've
recommendation.
communicated that to them already, yes, that we didn't support it.
I'm done. Well, I have one more question. So when is this coming to the planning commission? What date?
This would be on their December 22nd agenda.
Thank you.
Final phase.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the settlement final phase. For those of you who aren't familiar with the settlement is down off of County Road 200 South, Bradford Road, between Dan Jones and County Road 900 East. This project actually started back in like 2003, 2004. It was done by Shrout Development, and then over the years, there have been several different people who've built in there. Arbor's built in there, Fisher's built in there, Centex built in there. There's been kind of all kinds of different people. And it's a planned unit development. And so there are different price points of houses throughout the neighborhood. And so the final section of the settlement is what you have here in front of you. I know it's a little odd, but if the Banning engineering piece, if you put that to the top, that's actually north, which makes it look like it's upside down. But if you do that, that will kind of help you visualize where it's at. You can also see there's a map here that kind of shows the corner of it. But this is the final section, and it had 25 to 30 lots. The thing I'll point your attention to, the first is up in the top, you'll notice there's a really squiggly line. That's a creek or a waterway. So this segment never built because the cost of putting a culvert over that stream to allow it to flow through it made the development of this section cost prohibitive. So I had a meeting a couple weeks ago with Tim Shrout, who owns the land, and Jeff Banning, and kind of talked about different options that were in front of us. And Linda and Paul have had numerous people come in and talk to them. The first thing you'll notice is it connects to the existing settlement to the north, but you'll also notice there's a stub street to the south. The stub street to the south goes to Bomar, which is actually in the town of Plainfield. So the first request we actually got was from Bomar if they would allow a connection from the south only and not do the bridge in the top. So of course the construction of the bridge is, they've got to split that up against the cost of all the lots for their pro forma. So we didn't think that was a great option to be able to connect through the town of Plainfield. It'd be very difficult for us to provide services to those homes. We'd have to drive through a Plainfield neighborhood to try to get to service it. And of course, that brought up the question of, well, would the town consider disannexation? If you guys want to tell me that's an option, I quickly said, yeah, I don't think there's any chance the town council will probably consider that. It is an option. The next option that came up was the potential of selling it. Again, you can't see it on here, but to the east of all of this property, there are houses along County Road 900 that are kind of long and linear like this. And so some of those homeowners have expressed interest in buying this property. Well, if that happens, we get no assessed value out of it. It doesn't really provide any benefit to Avon. It would just sit there basically as vacant land. So again, that's probably not a great option for us as well. Mr. Shrout has talked to several developers about building the bridge. None of them are really interested in building the bridge. We even threw out the possibility of a residential TIF, and could we do something where these properties would generate the TIF to be able to pay for the cost of the bridge, and maybe the town does it. I don't know if that's something the town council would even consider. The only residential TIF we've ever done is for the HOPA. And again, just because we typically have so much demand for housing, that's not really been something that we've considered doing in the past, but I don't know if that's something you guys would consider here. The fourth option was, and again, I don't know that it's a great place for a park, but would Mr. Shrout even consider just selling it to the town as a park? Again, the challenge would be if we want to make it accessible by vehicle, we also would have to build a bridge. Now, there may be some options to be able to do a pedestrian bridge or something like that, which would be much less of a cost, where you could kind of access a small park, or again, it could just be turned into a preservation area. But I just thought I'd share it with you guys, see if you had any thoughts, see if you had any guidance that you thought we could provide. See, would it even be a consideration for doing a residential TIF? Again, the benefit of doing the residential TIF is at least you get some assessed value out of it if it develops. If it just stays vacant land, well, we never get any assessed value out of it. So
Well, vacant land has a value, so, I mean, I think rather than, I'm thinking, rather than it becoming a park, and then we have to pay to maintain it, and it doesn't really connect to anything we currently have. It only to Omar. I don't know, why wouldn't we let the people that live along 900 Highway? I mean, there is assessed value. I don't know. I mean, what's that culvert cost?
well, nobody's really priced it. I think Jeff kindly did just a quick assessment. We know that Plainfield, when they did Bradford Road, they put a culvert in over it. I think at the time it was about $1 million. This is downstream, so as you go downstream, you pick up more water, so sometimes your structure will actually get bigger. So again, I think we feel comfortably it could be $1 million to $1.5 million to put in a culvert. So, which again would make sense. If you only have 25 to 30 houses, you got to split that cost up. Just your cost of your lots are going to go through the roof. So,
And I thought if it was going to go to park property, instead of putting in a culvert, you could put a dry ford in there because there's no permanent residence there. So you could do something like that where you wouldn't have to build a bridge.
But what would we use the land for if we didn't build a bridge?
Yeah, we're shelving.
I'm just saying, seriously, realistically, what would we use it for? We'd be loading up equipment, going and mowing it, we'd be paying.
yeah, the best bet would probably be to reforest it. Again, we haven't developed that option. If you guys think that's an option, I'm happy to pursue it. We could put together a plan of how we would use it. I mean, maybe it would be nothing. Maybe it would just be reforested and we'd put a walking trail through it and that's it. I wouldn't expect, it's not going to be an active park. Julie's advocating for me to put soccer fields on it, but
Where's it at?
that's what it's tucked in a corner.
If we had soccer fields on it, would that be anywhere near?
You could, but I don't know that it's big enough. Like maybe you'd get one soccer field on it. Like, I don't know that that's, again, it may end up costing me $700,000 to build one field. I don't know that that's a good investment. I could probably build a soccer field somewhere else for a much lower cost than that. So again, I mean, if we think that's an option and we want it, I think more the question is, I think I saw you all like have a physical reaction to disannexation. So I don't think that's an option. So I think the option then becomes park, residential TIF, or just sell it to the property owners. I mean, it comes down to three options.
Soccer fields. Just saying.
You want to put a Walmart neighborhood store there?
No, soccer fields. I want to put soccer fields.
Oh, soccer fields there. Yeah, wrong. We've moved on to the next topic, Bill.
It doesn't appeal to me with right there on that creek, but I'm gonna guess it's a flood zone.
No, it's not. I mean, it sits up high. So, I mean, it's developable land. Like it could, I mean, this site plan could be built on it.
What, 25 lots?
Do you remember, Jeff? 25 to 30, somewhere in that range?
I say let the developer buy it and take the bridge and we'll collect the taxes and like
24, like based on that layout.
What kind of houses are we talking about here? What kind of person is it?
Well, that's the problem, right? Like it becomes a math equation. Yeah, it becomes a math equation. Like it could be really expensive houses, but then again, the lots would be real expensive. Either that or it'd have to get real dense. So you could, maybe it could be townhomes or something like that. And so you're spreading that cost of a bridge out across a higher density. I mean, those are really your two options. It's not going to be in between. It's either going to be really low density or it's going to be really high density. And if we just don't want to do anything, we can just let Mr. Shrout do what he wants with it, and we'll just say we don't have any advice. Do as you please, Mr. Shrout. Okay? Yeah, think about it. Let me know if you have other questions or thoughts afterwards. Let me know.
Quickly, do we want to discuss having an executive session? It's next on the agenda, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to see, Dan and I had a conversation about potentially having an executive session before the end of the year with you guys. We were thinking the next meeting, November 20th, doing it at 5:30 PM. I know you guys have on your sheet in front of you, your agenda, potential topics. I don't know if you want to talk about those things, if you don't want to talk about those things. But there's 4 potential topics that we are able to and would speak about during an executive session if you guys were interested.
Okay, so we're not anticipating needing an additional work session prior to that meeting.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No, that's not, and we don't regularly have a work session at that meeting, so yeah.
I know,
That's why I was thinking,
sometimes.
sometimes we do, but no, I'm not. And I think your December work session will be light as well. I have a couple of small things, but I don't have a lot at this point unless something comes up over the next couple of weeks. Dawn, Dan, and I did talk about it. We think if we started at 5:30, we think we can fit it all in as well. I don't think we need to go earlier.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody? Bill, does that work?
November?
November 20th, 5:30 PM? Okay, we'll send you guys an invite. I may just mention, Dawn, I know I told you, you guys have 2 documents at your desks. One is Angel and I are going to start the process of advertising for boards and commissions. So you have a list that's highlighted in yellow. All those yellow positions are people that will need to be appointed for next year. Again, I haven't started the process of asking people who want to be reappointed or considered for reappointment. I'll work on that, but I just wanted to share that with you and give you a heads up that we'll be putting it out to the community, looking for people who are willing to serve on our boards and commissions. And then you also have one that has some numbers on it. This is me nerding out on some assessed value data that Julie shared with me. This is actually part of your budget. You guys may remember I shared this with you guys at the budget. We didn't have our assessed values numbers yet, but I just found the data really interesting. I think it tells a little bit of a story, which I think is in line with the guidance that the council had given us about growth and where you wanted us to invest our energies. You can see from 24 to 25, we had a 21% increase in our 1% as assessed value area. In our 25 to 26 change, we only went up 5%. So our assessed value growth in the 1% category has slowed. Same in the 2% category, which again is agricultural and rentals. And so you can see our growth in that area has slowed substantially as well. It was 10%. We went down to 4%. 24 to 25, our 3% category, we only went up 2.78%. But 25 to 26, we had a 14.03% in the 3% category. So again, that was the town council had asked staff to work towards balancing our growth in that 3% category. So you can see we did definitely accomplish that in that 3% category. I'm not going to talk too much about the other 2, but the last one in the bottom then is our TIF district as well. And so I thought that was interesting. 24 to 25, we had a 10% increase in our TIF district. In 25 to 26, we had a 24.92% increase. Again, that's 3% category as well. And so that's really positive growth in our 3% category. So I thought I'd share that data with you guys just for your information.
Call the November 6th Avon Town Council meeting to order, and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Julie, roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
Present.
Bill Holland,
Present.
Greg Zuzen, Don Loudon,
Present.
Jason Puckett,
Present.
We will move on to the consent agenda. If there's any discussion, if not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda to include the check register for November 6th, the approval of minutes for October 23rd, and the bond release for Harper Estates as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Julie, roll call, please.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Okay, thank you. Next is public comment. The public may come forward and comment on items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing or on a specific matter within the council's jurisdiction. If you'd like to come forward, please make sure the microphone green light is lit and state your name and address. No one coming forward, so we'll close public comment and move on to department updates.
Good evening, Linda Albrand, Planning Director. Just want to touch on the cases that we have going on. The BZA approved the Chase Bank drive-through in October. The Plan Commission acknowledged the withdraw, or dismissed, I should say, the former car wash up on Avon Avenue. And we have some ongoing enforcement action on that right now. We had to board up the property. The Park Place commercial, the 3 lots vacant in front of Park Place were continued until the November meeting. And then coming up in November will be that case, the Gibbs Park Welcome Center, as well as the Chase Bank DPR and plat for that site. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Good evening. Sean Stoops, Chief of Police. Our Avon Police Department hiring process began November 1st. We had over 60 applicants show up for the physical agility test. We had about 9 that did not pass the physical agility test, and the remaining applicants were administered the written exam that afternoon. We received the written results today, and we have 35 moving forward to the structured oral interview phase. And that notification has been sent out to them. That'll happen later this month in November. All of this, which is still contingent upon the Avon Police Department Merit Board accepting these initial results and scoring methodology next week at our Merit Board meeting, which our next Merit Board meeting is November 10th, 2025, 7 p.m. This meeting is going to be held here in the town hall and in the council chambers due to a possible number of attendees. At this meeting, we'll be presenting the hiring process testing results, recommending 2 police officers for promotions, and presenting several American Police Hall of Fame awards. This is a public meeting and anyone is welcome to attend. Our officers that are at ILEA are still doing well in their training, and they're still on track to tentatively graduate at December 12th. After graduation, they will complete their 16-week field training program. I want to thank Deputy Chief Margson, Deputy Chief Barton, and Clerk Treasurer Julie Loker for working so thoroughly and quickly to procure next year's fleet vehicles so craftfully in their way they handled the numbers and the budget. Deputy Chief Margson's already started working on getting some of those vehicles outfitted, and I believe they're all picked up as of today. I think we have possession of all of them already. And then the others are going to be scheduled to be outfitted pretty soon. Our Hendricks County Cops Toy Drive is about to kick off on November 17th. We'll be accepting new unwrapped toys through December 8th. You can drop those toy donations off at the Avon Police Department in our lobby. We have a big box with a sign on it. It's kind of hard to miss. Or if those dates and times don't work for you, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, you can contact us directly to maybe make another arrangement after hours so we can meet you there and accept those donations. Be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank
No
you.
questions, thank you.
Steve Moore, Public Works Director. Well, it's that time of year. We're trying to wrap up construction projects, trying to beat the weather, and I think we're going to do that. We're wrapping up the CCMG. The last thing we have to do is the south part of Avon Ave, south of 36. We'll be milling that this weekend and then paving it next week. The roundabout at Angelina Way, they're going to be surfacing on Saturday. Now, the date changed 3 times today, and so as of right now, it's Saturday. They're going to pave the surface there. Then after that, we'll have to be pavement markings. The cool thing about the Angelina Way project is that we've actually partnered with the Harvest Landing project, the Ace Hardware, that lot too. And they weren't going to be able to make their pavement 900 ready for this year for pavement. They were going to pave in the spring. And we were able to work a deal where we're going to pave it as part of our project and they're going to pay for their portion. So it's all going to get paved this year, which is cool. So 900 will be open before Thanksgiving. Again, we're paving it next week, and so we'll probably have striping within the next week after that. So it's good stuff. Just a few punch list items on that, nothing big. And that's pretty much it with that. What else do we have here? All right, we have the design on Dan Jones, phase 4, 40% plans. I have them in possession, got to finish reviewing those. So that's moving along. Phase 3, we're doing a lot of utility relocation. I'm sorry, everybody drives through there, you see it, but it's not hurting traffic too badly right now. Yeah, I think we're doing okay that way, making good progress. It bids, what day does it bid? The 18th? Yeah, it bids on the 18th of this month. So we'll see what kind of prices we got up for spring construction for phase 3. We did apply for the CCMG program again for next year. They lowered the amount. It was $3 million this year, and now it's back down to $2 million like it was the year before. We did apply for the entire $2 million. We give $1 million, they do $1 million. Submitted 10 road segments. The biggest thing that we submitted was County Road 200 South, which is becoming the major route to the new middle school from 450 to 525. Try to make that safer and improve some of the structure there. So that's the biggest part of the project. And then we have 9 other segments that we submitted to do as well, all based on our asset management plan that we have. Water utility, we continue doing our inlet repairs and drainage corrections as they pop up. Potholes, that we're getting to that season, we're preparing for it. We just got a load of pothole patch for the winter. Hopefully it's the one we need, but I doubt it. We'll probably need another load or 2. We got that in stock and we're ready for that. MS4 inspections, Eli did it all by himself this last time, and he did 67 inspections in addition to all of his other duties. So I'm pretty proud of him for doing that. Betsy collected $3,564 in permit fees for 11 permits. She collected a big whopping $292 in accident reimbursements. However, we have a couple of light poles that were knocked down, so there should be about 30,000 coming in that pretty soon. People got to quit hitting our light poles. I guess we're a good target. Keaton and Eli did 18 right-of-way inspections in addition to their constant CCMG 900 East roundabout and other construction inspections. I think I've told you before, they're both NDOT certified. They do a really good job with inspections, and they save us a lot of money in consultant fees because they do the inspections. So Pretty happy with their proficiency. Then Eli installed another 12 signs, and he does that daily. So, any other questions? I'm out.
Thank you.
Yep. I was honored to be able to attend the police hiring event on Saturday. I was also there to assist in the sit-ups, push-ups, things like that. It was my first time doing it. No one told me the newbies are supposed to bring coffee. So if I'm allowed to come back in the spring, I will have to bring coffee. But that was great. It was really fun to be a part of and to help go through that process and see what they have to do to apply for our department. I will say the people that did not make it, I think it hurt me just as much as it hurt them, because I was like, I am so sorry, I need your bib. But it was a really neat process to see and be a part of. Right now, we are balancing October, and in the balancing of October, I want to let you know something just to follow up on last month's update. We brought in over $130,000 again in bank interest income. I will be moving some money this month because I have one bank that's underperforming I'm not happy with. So I want to get you guys as much money as possible coming into the town, and it's just, like I said, free money, never bad. I loved being a part of our trick-or-treat event here at the council chambers on Halloween. Kathy and I dressed up as, I'd say, happy clowns. Went for more of a Punky Brewster vibe, but I think this was the best turnout we've ever had. The atmosphere was really fun, and it's just something that I have to commend Angel. Did an amazing job setting it up, decorating, putting everything together. She just did a really great job marketing it, because this was our best turnout ever. Ryan and I worked on additional appropriations that has been advertised in the Republican. We have to do it at least 10 days before a public hearing, so you'll probably be coming up with a public hearing and introduction at your next meeting, because we did already advertise that. Again, additional appropriations are extra revenues, police department, other places we've received money that we just need to add in because it wasn't expected. So that has already been advertised. Like I said, we're balancing October right now, so I should have those reports to you Monday, hoping. So
Thank you.
that's all.
I did see the line on social media. They had posted on Facebook, the line going out the door, and I don't remember that from years past.
It was like that. We actually stayed open an extra hour because it just never ended. It was great. It was great.
Anyone else? Ryan, are you going to speak on any department's behalf, or?
Nope, I think Shelby had conflict tonight, so she apologized for not being here. I will share, I know she's been working on, it was mentioned in our work session, the concussion protocol with our sports staff. So I know she's working on that. We're also getting close to putting the park bond projects out to bid. So we're going to talk a little bit later about the pickleball courts, the Burnett Woods Park and the Winton Meadows Park. We did a final page turn on that last week, so we're kind of finalizing final numbers, but that will be going out to bid as well. So we're expecting to award that before the end of the year as well. So I know she's been busy on that with that as well.
Thank you. Council comment and liaison reports. Robert, we'll start on your end this week.
The dispatch board is working on their AAC accreditation, and I had no idea about this, but it's kind of a big deal. I'm afraid this should not have an impact on home insurance rates, but like it's a standard for providing accurate information to first responders to make sure they get the right equipment, the right personnel there as soon as possible. It is a big deal. Just the two numbers that I remember is you have to have less than 7% error rate. And to say an error rate means you sent the wrong thing. No, that's not the case. As they walk through, you're screaming on the phone because you're having your worst day calling 911. They have to go through these different questions if they ask the wrong question out of order, that's part of this 7% rate. There are only 54 dispatch units in America that have this accreditation, and ours is in the process of making it. So if they ever hit more than those 3% in any 3-month period, they lose it. So like it's pretty difficult to get, and it shows to the support of making sure our first responders have the information and the equipment that they have on scene. And the other one, they've had a great success in a recent hiring wave. I'm looking at you guys because I know that's not the luck that we have. That they've got 8 new dispatchers going through the training program right now, and I think they said they've never had more than 3 or 4. So that's a pretty big deal. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Nothing from me tonight.
Nothing.
Bill? I attended the Hendricks County Commissioners meeting. Not a whole lot to report. It was just business as usual, so, small items. And then secondly, attended the Recycling Board District, and just looking to wrap up the year. They are discussing keeping the tipping rates the same right now. There was a tour that took place of different facilities and last month, and I guess talking to Plainfield about a location for another one on the south end of the county, a permanent recycling, kind of like Lisden. And that's it for me. New business, awarding quote for police vehicles. Linda, I thought you were going to do it.
I thought so too. Steve Barton, Deputy Chief of Investigations. I know it's like deja vu again, so I'm up here requesting the same thing. I'm looking for more vehicles. So this is really a continuation of last time that we had a meeting. Really kind of started in these areas that we found out that we have a pretty healthy CCD fund. So there's $102,000 in there. And so I initially had started looking to spend using that, use cash to purchase a couple vehicles. And then that's when I found that we had surplus of some vehicles that we use for our market patrol. And so we used next year's CCD fund to purchase those vehicles. So we got to prove that last time. We have those as of today. So we still have the $102,000. So what we're looking to do is to request that we purchase a couple of unmarked vehicles. The unmarked vehicles that we're looking to replace, one's in investigations, one is in administration. They're both F-150 crew cab police trucks. The one is a 2018, one's a 2019. So we're looking to replace them with an F-150, but we're also looking to replace with an F-350 as well. The F-350 is going to be used to also haul an enclosed trailer that we have. We just acquired that this year. When we went to hook it up to one of the Tahoes, the ton weight is considerably more than was accounted for. And so the Tahoe squatted pretty heavy. So the 350 is a bit more, but I foresee it being something that we can use a lot longer as well. The 2 F-150s that we're replacing, so we have a pool fleet that we use. So cars down, or if we have someone who's injured and we don't want them in a patrol vehicle, a marked vehicle, this is where we put them in. And so we're only down to 2 vehicles, both from approximately 10 years old, an older Fusion and then an older Ford Explorer. So we probably will still hold on to those, but again, this will allow us to kind of bolster that fleet as well. Again, healthier vehicles, kind of like last time we talked. So both of those vehicles together are going to come out to $117,884.60. Again, so CCD has $102,603.39. That leaves a difference of $15,281.21. Which will then use general fund to complete the cash purchase. General fund right now looks pretty healthy, so with talking with Julie and Brian, they're making sure I don't overspend, especially since it's a new position. Looks like we're going to be more than healthy towards the end of the year, and this is going to get done. Any questions or anything that I can answer?
Questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I move we award the quote for unmarked police vehicles to Andy Moore Ford in the amount of $117,884.60 as presented.
I'll second.
Do we need the clerk?
We need to
treasurer
authorize you to make
yeah,
that
make-
payment
Yeah,
as well.
and I amend the motion to also authorize the clerk treasurer to make payment.
Second.
Thank you. Julie, roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon.
4. Thank you. Okay, proposal for digitizing the planning and building documents. Since Linda left, I assume.
Yeah, no, actually, I was going to handle this. Actually, Jess did this before she went on medical leave, so she had sent it to me. I just hadn't had a chance to get it on an agenda. So this is part of our effort to digitize our documents. As you guys know, we're moving into a new facility. We don't want to take all of our paper with us. And so last year, we started this process and we digitized mostly just building documents last year. So you'll notice in these quotes, there's a little bit of building documents left, but then there's a lot of planning documents. We do have some money in edit as well, which I mentioned in my memo to all of you, that the town still needs to do our digitizing of our documents as well. So we'll start gearing up to do that next year as well. Again, our goal is to have as much stuff, especially on the town side. I know the clerk treasurer has to keep some of her stuff, and there is a storage room in the new building for the clerk treasurer, but most of the rest of the stuff, we don't want to take it with us. We also don't want to leave it here. So we want to get it all digitized. So you have 2 quotes in front of you tonight. The first one is for to finish the building documents, which is $13,490 estimated. And then the planning is $32,500. I will mention the planning documents. So what the planning documents that we have are the file folders for like every case. When we have anything come to the planning commission, the versions of, there's plans put in there, there's drainage calculations, there's traffic studies, all that stuff is in a paper file. So they're all kind of different sizes. And so that is kind of pricey for the planning stuff, but that's because it's going to require some management on the part of the company doing this work. Xerox is who we're proposing. That's who did it for us last year. We do want to use them again. They've figured out the format. They're doing it in the way that we can do it. They also, as they did more of it, they got more efficient because they kind of understood how we wanted the files set up. And appreciate Jess working with them on all of that to get that into place. The total cost is a little bit over, like right around $46,000. I did share with you guys a copy. We did budget 40,000, so it's a little bit over. These are estimates, and they said they were conservative in their estimate, especially for the planning stuff, because they couldn't necessarily see what was in every one of the folders. So we think it'll come in under the 40,000. Last year, the same thing happened. I think they estimated at 35 and it ended up coming in at like 30,000. So we're comfortable, even if it goes over a little bit, we're comfortable we can manage that within our budget. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but we would recommend approval of these 2 quotes from Xerox.
I have a question. Do they come on site to make those copies, or do our documents leave the building?
Our documents leave the building, so they'll take it. But part of anything they take, if we get a request for it, they'll get it back to us within 24 hours. So if somebody were to come in and need something from those files, we're able to get them back. So that is part of the deal, but they do take them off site.
So how do we know that everything gets scanned?
Jess literally went through like every file to make sure that all the documents were there. So the scanning took less time than it took for Jess to verify that everything was actually there. So
Okay.
that is part of the process.
So we have
We
a
vet it.
process in place.
We track what boxes they took, when they bring them back, we check them. Now, some of it we check once we confirm that everything's there. Then we did have them shred them all at the end. They just got rid of it once we had it, but they didn't do any of that until we verified we had everything we needed.
Okay, thank you.
And in our current data, sorry, were you saying something, Bill? Okay, in our current processes, are we digitizing records as we go now? We're not adding to our paper records?
Exactly.
Where we can.
Yes. Yeah, actually everything.
Right.
We're all trying to, as we're getting stuff. So this is all backlogged stuff. So
Yeah.
And actually a lot of these are even when we annex stuff, Hendricks County gives us their files. A lot of this is even Hendricks County files, but we're organizing them in a way so that when we need to search them and find them, it's actually more efficient for our
Sure.
staff to find them as well. And then you're exactly right. As we're getting stuff now, we're asking for them digitally or we're scanning them as we get them.
I assume we have a backup system for the digitizing.
We do, yes. Yeah, for our servers. So we have our data servers and we have redundancy. both we have backup servers and we back up to a cloud. So we actually have it in 3 locations.
We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 2 proposals for Xerox to do the digitizing of the records in the amount of $13,490 and $32,500 as presented. Do I need to also authorize you to make payment on this, Julie? No?
I
Okay.
don't think we're paying for it till next year. So.
I'll second.
Thank you. Julie, roll call, please.
Bill Holland,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Right, next is Resolution 2025-30, the donation of property from the Avon Community School Corporation for pickleball courts.
Yeah, this is something I've been working on for about 2 years, so I'm really excited to kind of see it finally get to this point. Some of that was on us, some of it was on the school. They were using the old tennis courts on Avon Avenue as a staging area for some of their remodeling. I think at Elm and Willow, I always get them wrong, I'm sorry. And it's east and west to me, I'm sorry. But and so they were waiting to get some of that done. I do want to, this is, again, a great partnership, and I want to emphasize that I don't think 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, maybe, that we got this kind of a level of cooperation from our school corporation. And so I'm very appreciative. I think we've invested a lot in our relationships with the school corporation. I know we're doing the Civic Center, but this is another great example that they are just willing to donate the land for us to redevelop it and turn it into a park. And I think it's mutually beneficial for us to turn it into a pickleball park. It's actually a great location for it. It's visible. It's in walking distance. There's even the ability we've shared. You'll notice in the agreement, it says something about if the school wants to use it, that they're welcome to use it for their kids and for pickleball classes, for their gym classes. When they do that, they'll insure their own kids using the facilities. We will insure it when we're using it as a park, and we'll coordinate those things together. But again, I think this is a great thing when we hear from surveys and things like that people wished elected officials were working together better. This is a great example of elected officials working together and utilizing the resources that taxpayers have already paid for in the best manner possible. So the agreement was drafted by our attorneys and reviewed by the school attorneys. It's already gone before the school board, and the school board has already approved it. I know you don't have a signed version in there. Dr. Wyndham is still working to get their building corp also has to sign off on it. And he's working to get the signature from his building corp. But once we get that, we'll get Dawn to sign it and make it happen. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think it's a good thing for the community, and I appreciate them giving the consideration, and yeah, it's a great thing. Like you said, it in the past may not have ever happened, so thank you.
I move we adopt Resolution 2025-30, the donation of property from Avon Community School Corporation for pickleball courts as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Julie.
Robert Pope,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Bill Holland.
4.
Moving on, Resolution 2025-31, declaring police vehicles a surplus. Dave?
Good evening. Dave Margison, Deputy Chief of Enforcement with the Police Department. This is very similar to the last meeting, like Deputy Chief Martin's. As we have been able to get vehicles outfitted and issued and out on patrol, the idea was to sit down and identify vehicles that were really kind of gouging us in repair cost and those things. So early this week, Lieutenant Nate Hawk and Deputy Chief Barton and I, all three sat down, and Lieutenant Hawk helps a great deal with the pool fleet. And we identified the vehicles that I've listed for you all on the sheet there, a total of 9. They are high mileage. They have suspension problems that are costly, that need to be repaired. A couple of them have some fuse box issues that are drawing power constantly, and we are being advised by our repair people that the Fuse boxes are no longer an item that's available through Chrysler. Can't even get. Few of them are having overheating issues despite having water pumps replaced and thermostats replaced. So, and then one of them is an old canine pull vehicle that we don't use. We have two, and this one just sits there. The other one is a larger vehicle for, I guess, the capacity for the animals, so they're not quite as scrunched. So they don't utilize it's a Dodge Charger, and it just sits and is not used. So we would like to be able to take those along with the one that you approved during the last meeting to Odessa and have those auctioned off and then utilize those funds towards the outfitting of these new vehicles that you've approved. Happy to answer any other questions or.
Any questions? If not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025-31, declaring these police vehicles as surplus property as presented.
Second. Julie?
Don Loudon,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. All right, moving on to introduction of ordinance 2025-28, amending a stop street and speed limit designation. Steve Moore, you coming up?
I'll handle it, but Steve may pop up too. So as you guys know, anytime we change speed limits, we have to get permission from the town council, and they have to be adopted by the town council. Also, if new stop signs are put up, the town council has to codify those in the town code. So Steve identified a location when Bellwood was constructed. They connected a stub street to Pine Tree Estates, and because it was just a dead end stub street, it never had a stop sign. So that's one of the locations he's adding in here. The speed limit designations he's changing on several locations. County Road 900 East, County Road 1050 East, County Road 400 East. Some of these are a little bit more rural. County Road 100 South out to the western area of town. And most of them are speed limit reductions. A lot of them are as a result of changing conditions, especially like County Road 900 up by Sephora. The speed limit was 50 miles per hour. Well, now that Sephora has been built and there's development in the other corners, and we know that there's a commercial area coming on the corner, the characteristics of that area are changing. And so a 50 mile per hour speed limit is no longer really reasonable for those kind of conditions. So in order to change these speeds, we do have to have an engineer do speed studies and confirm that those then recommend speeds. So we don't just change them just because someone called and complained to us. We're actually collecting, and normally what we use is called the 85th percentile speed. So if 85% of the people are traveling at or below that speed, that's typically the speed that the engineer recommends for the speed limit to be set at. So happy to answer any questions. I think it's pretty straightforward. This is just an introduction.
Another question I have is how many locations? Do you know?
It's in the memo.
I think it's four locations that were reduced.
Okay,
One stop sign.
thank you.
I have a question just while we're talking about street markings and signage. Over by the newer school out at 400, did we install the flashing lights there? I haven't been out
You're talking
that
about the
way.
school zone
Yeah, the
ones?
school zone
Yes,
lights.
we did. Yeah.
Okay, I just hadn't
So
been out there.
we repurposed 2 used ones and we got a new one. And we're still waiting for some of the control unit. They're not operational. Even the brand new one was delivered without the control unit. For some reason, our vendor was way behind on, and I don't know where they're getting them from, but wherever they're getting them from, they're behind. So we've been waiting for a really long time to get these control units, but they are installed. We're just waiting for them to start working.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and consider ordinance 2025-28 as introduced and move on to legal counsel report. Thank you. Okay, second opportunity for public to come forward. No one coming forward. We'll close that and move on again to council comment.
No one. Ryan, council calendar.
Yep, I'll be quick. Just reminder, we are on the 1st and 3rd for November and December. We're meeting on the 1st and 3rd. So our next meeting is November 20th at 7 p.m. And as we discussed at the work session, we'll send you guys out a note, but we'll also do an executive session at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you. Meeting